Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special meeting of the Blue Lake City Council, Thursday, July 7th, 2022. And our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, but since we are in the City Hall chambers today, we're going to forego on that and move to establish a quorum of the council.
Yes. Mayor Jones. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Hogan. Here. Councilmember Curran.
Here.
Councilmember McCree.
Here.
Councilmember Finan.
Here.
Thank you, all present and accounted for. Item 2, approve the agenda. First of all, from council, anyone want to change anything, move anything around? Looks good. Okay, now if there's any public that would like to change anything on our agenda,
I think it's all staff on there.
is it? Okay. All right, then back to council for the vote to approve the agenda as delivered.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Chris Karen, seconded by Elaine Hogan to approve the agenda as delivered. Any further discussion from council? Any discussion from public? Back to council. I guess we have to do a roll call vote according to the
Yes.
lawyer.
Mayor Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hogan. Yes. Councilmember Curran.
Yes.
Councilmember McCree.
Aye.
Councilmember Finan.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, the third item, public comment. The public is invited to present petitions, make announcements, or provide other information to the city council that is relevant to the scope of authority of the city of Blue Lake that is not on the agenda. The council may provide up to 15 minutes for this public input session. To assure that each individual presentation is heard, the council may uniformly impose time limitations of 3 minutes to each individual presentation. The public will be given the opportunity to address items that are on the agenda at the time the council takes up each specific agenda item. Do we have anyone here from the public?
You're not seeing anybody.
We don't see any hands. We don't see anybody on Zoom, so we will move on. Item 4, resolution number 1201, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Blue Lake authorizing application for regional early action planning grant program funds. And this is an action item. The regional early action planning grant program is administered by the Humboldt County Association of Governments, also known as HCOG. A portion of the funds will be allocated as a grant program to local jurisdictions to stimulate housing production. The city is requesting REAP funding for the following activities discussed below. The city is currently in the process of preparing an update for the general plan housing element for the 6th planning cycle, which is being funded through the local early action planning LEAP program. As part of this effort, the city needs to prepare an updated initial study pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act. The city does not have funding for completing the CEQA process and is requesting $15,000 of REAP funding for this task. The city is also requesting additional funding assistance for the scope of work in the LEAP grant that was awarded to the city. Specifically, the city is requesting $5,000 for mapping of the city's stormwater system. Lastly, the city is requesting funds from the REAP suballocation for the smaller cities in the county to assist with a survey of Blue Lake residents to identify key housing and service needs in the community. In total, this action would authorize application to the HCOG for a grant amount of $29,864. And we have the information, including the resolution.
And then Gary is also here, and Emily as well, if they want to speak to this project.
Okay,
Had any questions?
all right. Gary, did you want to add anything to what the request is from the city?
Not really. You read through the agenda staff report, so that pretty well covered it. But just understand this is another pot of money being made available from the state to facilitate housing production. And we're lucky that they're doing this kind of thing because this is allowing the city to update its housing element, to do the CEQA analysis that's required, deal with infrastructure issues and the like. So, we're very pleased that we have this opportunity and hope that you approve submittal of the application.
This survey that we're having with other cities, do you know what other cities we're gonna be combined with?
I don't think we're gonna be combined with anything. It's
Oh.
just that the other, the smaller cities had a smaller pot of money that was set aside that we could apply for separately.
Oh, smaller cities and county to assist with a survey of Blue Lake residents. So I'm confused then, we're not doing a survey?
We are, but we're doing it on our own. We're not,
Oh.
we're not doing it as a combined effort.
Okay, so,
But-
do we have any idea how we're gonna go about that?
Yeah, we've been talking about that because we want to, there's also part of this is, there's a kind of an art component of this as well that will allow us to kind of synthesize some of this data in a video presentation to talk about, housing needs in our community, some of the barriers to housing, what are some of the service needs that our community needs. And we didn't want to just kind of gloss this over. We wanted to be able to translate this into something that could be used for other funding applications. And we also thought it would be a good opportunity to use it as kind of an education tool for the community as well, and for new people coming into the community, because we're consistently having to kind of represent the reasons why we're doing things like the ozone and, and how that came about. So we were like, well, if we have this opportunity to turn this into something that people can either watch on our website or can be presented in different forums, it gives a little bit of consistency to the information, but it also allows us to use it as a tool to go seek other funding sources. And one of the things that we talked about was being able to go out in the community and also talk with people who have lived here, longer, to talk about how we're kind of coming back to how Blue Lake started, this kind of historical pattern of living where you lived above your businesses, where we did have our own resources to sustain ourselves, or we did have a little grocery stores, we did have small businesses. So really what we're trying to progress to is kind of coming back to where we started from. And so being able to kind of encapsulate that in some way that could also focus on our history a little bit and be kind of a promotion and marketing opportunity as well. So we wanted to work with the museum. We talked about working with Lynette Mullen. Lynette does a lot of Humboldt history and she's very connected to Blue Lake. Has a lot of great resources. So Emily will be kind of working on this as well, but this story can help us on in a lot of ways. And so we wanted to make sure we're doing it in a way that, we don't just we did our little short video of we need some housing and it's really hard here and it's expensive, but how do we sell it, on multiple fronts, whether it's wastewater infrastructure, or road improvements, or safety, or community facilities. So it's a pretty cool opportunity. So Gary and I and Emily are still kind of wrestling with how would we get the data that we need. So it hasn't totally been defined yet, but once we get the funding, we can start kind of moving forward. And there's a lot of good, resources out there. Other cities do this as well. So it's, but it is a good pot of money for us. Sometimes these little small pots of money go a long ways in small cities, and the bigger cities usually are just it's just not enough money for us to do much with. But for us, it's wow, we can really turn this into something. So.
Yeah, and I would also add, this also helps to supplement the housing element update. Most of the data we have in there to identify the needs in the community come from the U.S. Census or American Community Survey. This would allow us to actually survey and interview people in the community and get on the ground and actually hear from people in the public. And it's also just generally part of the public engagement process as well of doing a housing element update. And so hopefully through this, we get a better understanding of what the key housing needs are in the community, what the service and facility needs are and things like that, and then plan for providing those things.
Well, the last time we did a survey, I think we mailed it out, did we? Was it with the water bill or we just used our water?
I think we just used our water billing,
users, yeah.
address.
Yeah, so would that be a logical way to do this as well? with the-
Yeah, I think we would want to do this on a bunch of different levels. I think, you know, I think that face-to-face interaction. We also want to target specific, you know, groups, students, seniors, you know, income brackets, you know, so we're gonna have to look at ways to really target, you know, how we go out and, you know, you know, how we go out and get that data. So I think, you know, going to community events, the Grange meetings, you know, we could talk to the Old Crows, we could talk with the Del Arte students. The school is a good resource, you know, trying to hit, you know, families that have school age kids. So I think we'll be looking at a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, and I think one of the primary focuses is folks that are in the greatest need in the community. You know, we're not wanting to talk to folks that have had a single family residence for decades and don't have, you know, issues with housing or income or things like that. That's not really useful. You know, we want to talk to specific groups, lower income students, seniors, things like that, as Mandy noted, because those truly are the folks in the community with the greatest need.
Okay, any questions from council about this issue?
I just had a question, yeah, about the update to the housing element. So if it's nearing the CEQA process, is it like a pretty final draft, or can you talk more about where it is in the process and the work that's being done or has been done with the planning commission?
Yeah, I mean, we've submitted a draft to the State Department of Housing and Community Development for their 90-day review.
Okay.
And then typically, so it's in a solid shape right now. You know, we did a 30-day public comment period and incorporated some of those comments into the draft housing element before submittal to HCD. So after their 90-day review period, they're going to give us a list of things that need to be revised or fixed, or, you know, that type of thing. And then we would have basically an iterative process with them where we would make revisions, they'd review it again, and we get it to a point where they're satisfied that they could certify it. And if there's anything we need to take back to the Planning Commission because they haven't previously considered it, we will do that. But then ultimately, it will come to the council. So hopefully we will receive these REAP funds soon so that we're able to start the CEQA analysis while the HCD 90-day review is occurring. And if all went well, we would be able to have the CEQA document completed when they complete their review. That might be wishful thinking, but you know, that's kind of the timeline we would like to do it on. But anyway, that's where things are at. We're waiting for comments back from HCD, and we're waiting for REAP funds to start our CEQA review.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments from council? Okay, this isn't a public hearing, is it?
No, it's just a resolution authorizing us to submit.
Yeah, so we just need to pass resolution 1201 and that will do it.
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there any comments from public? Seeing any on that? Okay, back to council for possible action.
I'll move adoption of resolution number 1201, authorizing the application for regional early action planning grant in the amount of $29,864.
I'll second that.
Moved by Chris Karen, seconded by Benjamin McCree to pass resolution number 1201. Any further comment from council? Any from public? Back to council for the roll call vote.
Yes, Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hogan,
Yes.
Councilmember Curran,
Yes.
Councilmember McCree,
Aye.
Councilmember Finan.
Yes.
It passes. Okay, our next item 5, local road safety plan, LRSP adoption, and this is also an action item.
Yeah, so we have Jared and Justin are here to present this item. This was presented to you at the last meeting. They presented kind of a draft document, and then this is the actual adoption of the LRSP so that we can proceed with some funding submittals.
Okay, it looks like SHN Engineering has completed the plan and will be sending the final draft document to the council and the community for review and adoption. And yeah, this is what we had as a PowerPoint at our last meeting, wasn't it? There was a meeting before that. There was the last one. Okay, is there any background staff reports on this item?
Justin and Jared are both here. Did you guys want to speak to this item?
Yeah, we can provide a brief summary. Again, this information and report is the same one that was presented to council at the last meeting. At that point, it was not an action item, and so no action could be taken. And so we've brought it back again. That way council has had additional time to review, so has public, and now it is an action item that we're looking for council to adopt. But I guess a brief, quick sentence summary on what the report is it's essentially an analysis and action plan of road safety incidences and concerns that were congregated from a bunch of different databases, including the public and law enforcement reports and a variety of public works records and such. And then taking that data, synthesizing it down to make it easy for the public to digest, and applying countermeasures that are proposed. So there are flexibility in what is proposed in the report. And this sort of document it's required now for a number of different road safety funding programs, including HSIP and SS4A, which is a new federal funding source. And so that's sort of the purpose behind this document, is to provide these state and federal sources with a report to base our funding applications back against, to determine that there is a specific need in a community for the countermeasures that we're proposing in a particular funding application. And so I think, given the length of the report, there's no public at this meeting, and we went over the sort of general information in the last meeting. I think it'd be best if I open it up to council for comments or questions that we'd like to, if anyone has stuff they want to cover specifically, we can go over that in greater detail.
On page 15, a lot of the problems cited are on Blue Lake Boulevard. And the problem I have with that is that it's in the county, it's not in the city. It's in our sphere of influence, I understand that. And maybe we might have some leverage to get money because it is in our sphere, but I'm just kind of concerned that since it's technically not in the city of Blue Lake, and it's a problem area, obviously, but what is that going to be a problem that it's not technically in our city limits?
Yes and no. So obviously there is the issue with it being a county jurisdiction, that Blue Lake itself has a lot of access points directly onto and off of. We did work with Tom Matson from the county with, he went on the site walk with members of SHN and Mandy, and has been a stakeholder in this process. And so a number of the new grant applications, we're hoping to partner with the county on, particularly on this segment, as joint agencies. And that's highly encouraged for the new federal one, SS4A. And so Mike and I are currently trying to reach out to the county to figure out what their plan is for that particular grant fund, and whether or not we can sort of do some of the heavy lifting for the county on that particular segment and segments that connect to Blue Lake Boulevard, and submit as a joint agency.
Good, thanks. Any questions or comments from council? Item? A lot of work was put into this. I really appreciate the diagrams for those of us that are visual learners. It's really helpful to see, and the maps and all was very well done. So, good job to everyone who worked on it. Is there any comments from public? I'm not seeing any at this moment. So we are back to council for possible action.
I'll move adoption of the local road safety plan.
I'll second.
Motion by Chris Curran, seconded by Benjamin McCreith to adopt the local road safety plan. Is there any further discussion from council? Anything from public? Back to council for a roll call vote.
Yes, Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hogan,
Yes.
Councilmember Curran,
Yes.
Councilmember McCready,
Aye.
Councilmember Finan.
Yes.
It passes. Okay. We are now at future agenda items. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is not until the 26th of July. And I think that's the one we're going to need a closed session concerning the evaluation. Then we brought their evals. Some of those now. Any other future agenda items?
We hope to have the rate study.
Oh, yes. Yeah, good. Study that on now. Okay. Anything else?
You'll have the audit presentation as well.
Okay. All right, and of course, all agenda items must be in by the Wednesday before the meeting of the 26th, so that would be July 20th. We're all getting ready for Annie Mary Day. I have 50 craft vendor booths ready to be chalked out on Saturday, and the music is all lined up, so the weather's looking really good
Yeah, it's
after
gonna be
some
great.
rain, so we're all really looking forward to a day of celebration.
You're mowing lawns like crazy,
Yes, and you're doing a lot of painting. Yeah.
painting, and we'll be sweeping the streets tomorrow too. So
Is that why there's the?
Yeah.
The sawhorses saying
yeah,
not
we
to
put the
park?
signs out just to let people know not to park there on Friday, so we can get the street sweeper in. The gravel trucks aren't helping matters, so we're hoping that maybe they'll slow down between Friday and Sunday so that at least the streets look good, but we'll see.
Yeah.
They're
Do they
hauling
run
a
on
lot of
s-
gravel right now.
Do they run on Saturdays too?
They've been running
They do.
7 days a week, and I mean, we've had gravel trucks, running all night long, so.
Okay, yeah, good job to the staff on getting everything ready for Sunday. All right, I guess we are on item 7. Adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion made by Chris Curran, seconded by Benjamin McCreith to adjourn this meeting. Any further discussion from council? Anything from public? Back to council for the roll call vote.
Yes, Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hogan.
Yes.
Councilmember Curran,
Yes.
Councilmember McCready,
Aye.
Councilmember Finan.
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Thank you. Thanks for accommodating that quick meeting.
Yeah.
Hey, was there a deadline we had to meet or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we,
no, it's
That's what
the
I
new
thought.
funding source that came out, we have to have this adopted.
We're
I
still
think.
Okay.